Hello, anybody, somebody, nobody, whoever may never hear this. This is Siegfried Alexander Faust, the Whiff. Come back at you with some 7 Days to Die. I haven't uploaded any content for a while, but I decided with the upcoming 1.0 release, I would make a list of like top 50 tips and tricks I would pass on to people. There's probably going to be something on this list you don't know, and if you know everything, oh, aren't you a special cookie? Good for you. But it's a lot of recommendations, interesting things I've learned over the years. More so, a lot of it is stuff I've picked up recently, or I just knew from like, oh, jeez, it's 8 years ago or something when I played this game more. But yeah, it's a long list, so I want to go through with it without taking up too much time. But if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, oh, and comment down below if you think anything's cool or if I make a mistake. I always like constructive feedback. And you can check out some of my other videos, which is mostly Warhammer and other video games and poetry and singing, blah, 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 blah. All right, now without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so while I do this list read off, I'm going to actually just like show off some base stuff. So first off, let me show off. You can skip past this part. I was just gonna show a interesting base build I like personally. Whoops, overshot it. So I like doing the 5x5 because with a 5x5 interior. A 5x5 interior lets you have a door, and it lets you have a dig chamber, lets you set up, if I flip this the other way, protection against people, zombies coming in. It lets you get the forge, the chemistry station, the workbench, the mixer, the campfire, and storage containers, enough to get by for, I'd say, the early game. And if you really wanted to, like, you could ditch some of these other things and build more storage containers quite simply, and you'd be fine. You could definitely gimmick this to have far more storage. I'll talk a bit more about why you should or shouldn't do this, but this is just one of the designs I like to have early game if you want to build a base for the first week to / first month. I'd say 5x5 interior, which means you want a 7x7 exterior, and you could build a little walk trail for protection, so they have to go down a corridor. Without further ado, let me get back to, I like saying that, further ado. Let's get over to the other base location. I just built it over here. Let's spawn in a bunch of little darlings. I love me some darlings. And darlings come in friends. Karens travel in packs. I want to see how much damage this does to my base, or how well it defends. Okay, the pyramid of darlings has been born. Isn't that something? Alright, and then let's turn this on once more. So this way we can kind of watch them try to get to me as I talk. Okay. Haha. Alright. So, number one. And I'll try to separate this by parts to make it a bit faster for people. One, early skills route, level 1 to 20, and some points into main weapon. So I'd say the things you're definitely going to want at an early level, not particularly in order, is Treasure Hunter, Lucky Looter, Salvage Operations, Miner 69er. You want to put 4 points into this. So you're for Miner 69er and Motherload. Oh no. Some of them have gotten past. No. Oh wait. Oh, I didn't have that. Oh, there we go. There we go. I was confused. And then you're going to put 5 points into strength, hiker, healing factor, pain tolerance, living off the land, huntsman, animal tracker, archery, hidden strike, parkour, and lockpicking, and better barter, and daring adventure. All of these combined will put you around level 20 when you finish, but there's going to be a lot of reasons why just having a single point in these is high value, and it doesn't require you yet to invest more points into a specific stat to get the payoff for them. And so you might as well just invest the single point to get the payoff early. And then after level 20 and you have done all of these skills, then you're going to want to put points into some weapon. I recommend either an intelligence-based weapon like the, baton, electric baton and whatnot, or a strength-based weapon because you already have some points in strength, so you can go more into sledgehammer. That'd be totally fine. Or you can do shotgun. Both of those are good, or both. However, you're going to then dump stats afterwards into int. Get that baby up to 10. And you're going to do robotics inventor up to 5. That way you can use 2 turrets, which is a huge combat buff. And so by level 35 to 40, you should have everything I mentioned. And honestly, from this point on, it's just getting more of some of the prior perks, like getting more pain tolerance or getting more bartering stuff or parkour, so you can just take less fall damage. You can jump 2 blocks. But it's basically like gonna carry you to the end game. Like once you're 35 to 40, from there, everything else is just icing on the cake. You've already had your majority of your power spike. Number 2, base recommendations. So for the first day/week, I actually recommend a POI. Just any kind of good POI, any kind of point of interest home building that you can knock out the stairs that you don't think you yourself or anyone else in a multiplayer game is going to necessarily do as a quest, or that'll wipe your progress. But you don't have to worry about doing too much to it. You can even let zombies tear it up on the first blood moon, and then you can go somewhere else, and you're not going to have to significantly worry about spending resources or building a base. It's already basically done. You can then have, as I said, a 5x5 or 7 square with the tunnel chamber. There's a lot of things you can do with that. That'll make it easy to kill zombies. You can, for regular mode, just to be sneaky, or you just think it's cool for single player, or more so for PvP, have a hidden base. Or just have a base in general with a mining option in usually the middle, so you can dig down and reinforce it in a circle around or /square. So that way, once it's Horde Night, or not Horde Night, every night besides Horde Night, you can just be digging in the middle of the night to get more XP and more progress, because otherwise it's a waste of time. With that said, I don't mind just being AFK, letting time pass. It doesn't really bother me, but it is best use of your time usually to do that, and especially if you're doing a competitive PvP, which most people don't. But like, you know, or even if you're just trying to get strong fast, like that's how you get a lot of XP, get stuff done, because you're just losing time. Why would you not make good use of your time by crafting and digging at night when you're safe and exploring? And you can use it as a tunnel network to get around the map too. And then after the first month or so, then you should just be, I'd say after the first week to month, you can use small POIs, and then from there you have to use either large POIs for Blood Moon or start building an actual defendable base, because you're definitely going to want to actually, by the end of the first week or so, then you're going to want to make use of your forges and workbenches. You don't want to keep playing after the first week. You can maybe get away with waiting a week, but then you're definitely going to want to actually start using that stuff. And so by that point, you do need a base of somewhat standing to defend for both Blood Moon or Horde Night. I'm going to touch back on this and circle back around along with some other points I'm going to make. But again, I could talk for days, and so I got to keep going. If you use the building block, here we go, whoop, the wood variable shape helper, and then you go to shape, and then you go to cube hole filled center, which I'll pull that up right here. Hole, let me just do this. It'll be this one. If you put that down and I basically flip this, boop, and I built it like there. If I get a bucket of water, I pour the bucket of water in here. Then what I can do is use my character model to drink the water. And if you have a helmet mod that is water purifier, guess what? You don't get sick from drinking that water, and the water doesn't go away. So you just do that once in your base. Congratulations, you have accomplished unlimited water. You have unlimited water in your base. Just don't remove it with a bucket, and you can reinforce it so it doesn't get easily destroyed. But yeah, you just drink water. As long as you have that helmet mod for water purifier, you're safe and good to go. Just drink water like that. You don't have to ever worry about it when you're in base. Spears hit safely from 2 to 3 blocks away, so you can use your hatches like I have here. I wasn't using a spear because I've been busy talking, but I can actually hit zombies if they're right here with a spear. Look how far away I am. That's insane. It is way farther than you might think to be able to hit them with a spear. It's pretty nuts. For other melee options, you could be 1 block away. So, 1 full block. So they're on this side, 1 full block, I'm right here. But spears, no, I could be here and hitting them. Very safe, gives you a lot more survivability, especially if you put it on a harder difficulty, or you are on permadeath and you don't want to risk it. Some people call her Grace, but the giant infected boar at Bob's Boars and Carl's Corn and whatever no longer gives you raw meat. Instead, it gives you lots of spoiled meat, which you can still use, but the raw meat was pretty awesome to get a ton of it early game, but there's already obviously boars nearby to get raw meat. But it didn't really make sense that she gave you raw meat when she's obviously not a good boar to get meat from. Bad meat! Bad meat! It's a Walking Dead reference. The rental vending machines still work, however, not the stones to dukes for being the insane price trade-off that they used to be. You can still use it in some regards. That's of good value. However, it's again not for they're just they lost interest. Boo. What I would recommend is if you can't sell stuff to the trader, or you just have an insane amount of goods, you have an insane drop rate, or you're just pumping out resources, you're just trying to get rid of everything, and the trader's not buying some stuff, you can sell it there, and for its default price, especially if it's bulk items. The best thing I've seen, I think, the 4 best items is motorbike chassis, motorbike handlebars, bicycle chassis, bicycle handlebars. Actually, no, and then the last one, motorcycle chassis, motorcycle handlebars. However, for the resources spent, cost efficiency, I believe, don't quote me on this. You can, I don't care. Motorbike chassis is the best trade-off for dukes. And I mean, like, you'll get a ton of dukes. I'm pretty sure it's like 50 to 90,000 for 50 motorbike chassis, which is like insane. However, I'm going to touch on something else that later doesn't give you XP. So you could do that. It's a 2,500 Duke rental fee, and it's invisible NPCs that are in the world that you don't interact with, but are for narrative reasons existing. They are the ones who go through and buy your stuff. It could be 6 to 13 days usually to trigger. If you set different rates for items, people can purchase it there and whatnot. But unless it's at a significant decrease cost discount, most of the time it's just going to be just do default price, because otherwise you just be losing off on your time for the cost efficiency. Loot a quest area and then hit the quest marker after you get the main loot. Don't do this for non-main loot, honestly. And then you can start the quest, and guess what? The main loot respawns. And some other stuff, if you really like, the one thing I will recommend is like cars. If you're looking for certain car parts or something that is at a very unique or like consistent spawn that's at a location to get like an engine or battery or something, then you could do that as well. But yeah, if you could quickly go in, get main loot, start quest, and then go through, kill zombies, and then get main loot again, easy gains, great gains. If you reload the game, it refreshes the trader quests. This should all still be consistent with 1.0. I tested most of these with 1.0. I'm on the beta right now for it. Turn off gas valve for fire spewing pipes. However, they're there to block people from going certain ways. That's usually the right way to go, to force you to go an alternate way that the devs want you to go to explore a point of interest POI, or to stop you from taking a shortcut. These pipes can sometimes be surrounded by invisible fire, and you turn them off by shutting a valve that's linked to the pipe. but you can get around them. But be cautious of, again, invisible fire that might exist, which is really dumb and annoying. Hasn't been fixed yet. It is more efficient to scrap number 10 to scrap level 1 gear and weapons instead of selling them or modding them and selling them. They're just not worth it. If you don't have anything better, sure, but scrap them. Don't sell them. It's a waste. You get a bit more out of it. It's better that way. You can 11. You can smelt dukes in the forge for 1-to-1 ratio for brass, which is the same as raw brass, obviously. It's got one of the best like ratios in that way. So I highly recommend you do that if you are in desperate need of brass and you got a ton of dukes. Like again, you can do the rental trick I was talking about, and then do this, and that'll get you tons of brass early on if you're trying to rush brass or maybe sell it to other players. You can smelt car radiators and items in the forge for more brass and leather, etc., whatever they give you, on a much higher return rate than if you just scrapped it in your inventory. If you don't want to take the time or you need the space, do that. But yeah, if you can bring it to the base, then it's a bigger trade-off to put in your forge. Number 13, if you're trying to get loot on the non-linear route, just dig or break something. A great example, if I can find it, where am I? Honestly, I don't want to go digging for it. But I was going to say a great example is Bob's Boars and Carl's Corn and whatnot, because you can use that area to where Grace the Big Pig is. You can just, instead of like breaking through the metal, you just dig under the dirt right next to him. And like, you're good to go. Like, work smarter, not harder. Like, it's just really funny to me that that's an option. And so you could just, it's like, oh, 10,000 health block or, 500 health block. Boop. All right. If you use blocks, you can use blocks to flatten terrain for a better look, just like aesthetically. I could try to show this off. You'll see the terrain kind of gets evened out. It either rises up or dips down. But once it gets to a certain point, it would be like, nope, you got to go higher. However, now if I destroy these, the terrain stays that way. So if you want to get flatter ground, or it's bothering you some way, you want to be more aesthetically appeasing, just do that. 15. If it is made of metal, honestly, use a wrench. Most things that are metal / plastic, use a wrench to gather from them. Like 99 times, that's like almost every situation, that's the best item to use to get the resources. There's other ways, other things you can do, but I'm not going to go through every single freaking item in the game. Just, if it's made of metal, use a wrench usually, and you're going to get more out of it. Unless it's, the only thing I can think of is maybe like, obviously, digging for raw iron, or it's the metal bars, and they're just blocking your way, or they're from dropped items, or it's like in the wasteland. Those you just like use a pickaxe. All of those just use a pickaxe. Let's see. 16. Traders restock every 3 days. So day 4 is the first restock, and then you can just go by 3 by 3 by 3 after that. And then furthermore, vending machines restock daily. So you can, if you just rather use vending machines, because traders without all the discounts have about 300% markup. It might have been changed in 1.0. That's how it was for Alpha 22. However, vending machines are without markup. So once you get all the discounts, trader is better. Without the discounts, use vending machines. Let's see. You might see me spawning around, just quickly jumping around. So I have some commands here. If you do these commands and you enter these modes, it will disable trophies and achievements, just for awareness. F1, type creative menu, and then you'll see creative menu on, and then you could exit that and do letter U, and this will allow you to access little creative menu, and then you can even turn on dev blocks on to get access to like the insta kill pistol, hammer of god hammer that could destroy anything in one hit. And then you can use F1 debug menu Q, and this lets you enter God mode of invincibility. You could do Shift Q while in this to do instant hops to quickly get around, or hold space to move up vertically. There's also a menu to coordinate to jump to coordinates to teleport around, but I prefer just Q spamming because it gets me more control, and yeah, that way it's kind of fine. You can do either or. And you can also use the Q spam to get underground as well. F6 to spawn enemies, F5, P, and then to the right of the P is the left side bracket with debug menu on will allow you to move your camera around while remaining your character model stationary. So that's how you can move the camera and get different shots of content or explore things outside of your character, try to investigate stuff. That's how you saw me moving around in the beginning. You earned number 18. You earn 2 XP for every 1 Duke earned by selling to the merchant. So if you have a bunch of bonuses to get more Dukes, that translates to more XP. This is directly by selling to the merchant. You don't get any XP for buying from the merchant, or from selling to the vending machines, the rental for NPCs or players. It's only selling to the merchant. Navezgane is their default story world, so it has each POI guaranteed at least once, plus some unique POIs, and those ones are usually the bridges, etc. However, as they've gone from 21 to 22 to 1.0 launch, they've added some more tunnels and options for creative spawn for people making their own seeds or designed worlds, to have that be an option that gets spawned in. So that's lessened now, but if you want the full experience, play Navezgane. Also, if you look up a map for the world, unless you have a specific seeded player's map with a specific seed and information, and it's not self-designed, the map's going to be wrong, because the only map that's consistent is the one for Navezgane. Number 20. We're 2/5 of the way done. If you leave settings on default, the rate of infection for zombification, if you get hit, infected like near the beginning of day 1, is 7 days. You have 7 days until you die. That's the name. With the default rates, that's how long it takes for you to die of the infection and become zombified. Snowballs and rocks can be thrown as a thrown weapon to distract zombies towards its landing location. This works if they aren't aware of your presence yet. So if you're still in sneak and you can throw it straight past their face, and they'll go chase the rock. They'll go over to location X. So that can get them away into some landmines, into some damaging spots, off a cliff, all kinds of smart things you can do with it if you want to have more of an immersive, sneaky playthrough experience. 22, bedroll and land claim blocks actually go further than you think vertically. They block to skyblock and bedrock limits. So if I just go straight up, oh, sorry, I was falling. I don't know if I'm at the top. I might be at the top. So I'm unsure if I'm at the top or not. Maybe I'm still not, but at some point there is a build limit / sky limit where you can't go any higher. Whee! And so once you're at that point, that's like the sky block. It goes down as well. There's not just a black hole under the earth. Similar to people who like Minecraft, there is a bedrock layer that cannot be destroyed. And so it's good to be used to prevent zombies from digging around you and whatnot. However, zombies can't spawn under that, obviously. That would be weird. And so, boop. Oh, I accidentally went to the wrong... I'm at this base. And so... the land claim / bedroll, even though it's a cube and it looks like there's a top part of the cube, it actually goes all the way up to the top of the world, all the way bottom to the bottom of the world. So no one can abuse going above and below. And zombies also can't spawn anywhere above and below. Wow, I think I have an extra one in here. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, the leveling router recommendation, I'll just say 23. Again, you can do this in different ways. I actually said animal tracker because I think it's cool. It's not as necessary as the rest of these. It's cool. Lets you get me early, especially if you're playing a harder mode or a more immersive experience. It also lets you be aware of some animals, etc. And that could be nice. Let you level some stuff, but you know, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you're playing a harder playthrough, one of the first things you should get is healing factor, because just that passive healing is insane versus not having it. That will save you on healing supplies. You can take like 1 or 2 hits and forget about it as long as you play safe, and you will go back to max health relatively quickly. And then you can even take another one, and then from that point, you'll be like, oh, well, guess what? I need to drink water and eat food, so that's going to bring me back up anyway. So it just really helps you mitigate the healing aspect of the game, which is more important, obviously, than eating or drinking, but those also become important. 24. Zombie Blood Moon difficulty is based on game stage. Game stage is the higher the game stage is, the better the loot, and game stage 147 is the earliest one which demo zombies can spawn. Let me see if I, what is it? Yeah, here we go. Right now, I have game stage 46. I'm level 39. Let's say it's day 2, right? If I do F1 set time 700 0800, it's now day 700. Game stage has changed, 93. And so it is based on a combination of your level, how many, if there's multiple people in your group in a specific party, not play on your server, but specifically with you when Blood Moon happens, or just when you're playing, then that will increase the game stage. And so that's good to remember for what kind of zombies you're going to come across when you play. But again, better loot as well. And 147 is the earliest game stage, which demo zombies can start to spawn. I believe that's still consistent. 25, to avoid cop and demo explosions, build over 7 radius blocks away. However, there's a caveat to this, right? So it's good for your base building, just being good about base building, to build 1 block down so people can't just dig a layer of dirt or accidentally gets... It's very easy to break dirt versus just upgrading some blocks. So you build 1 block, right? So let me build a 3x3. Okay, 3x3 complete. Well, if a zombie's on this, they're two blocks high, right? And then I have to build 6 blocks away from being affected by the blast, at least. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's actually, if you're smart, 1, 2, 3. That's 9 blocks high. However, there might, like, let's say they dip up for a second. It's worth doing the 10 blocks high. That way, you guarantee they're not going to hit. You can use this as your base level to hang out up there. You can actually build your base up there, and you're not going to worry as much about demos and cop explosions from the explosion radius actually hitting you up there. That's the minimum safe, smart area you should do. You can do it less, but as I have hopefully shown, like, you can do it theoretically here, but there's a much better chance that's going to hit. And this is, Lord forbid, they stack. You've seen zombies stand on top of each other in this game, which means you got to do it 2 higher from here. So you'd want to go another 2 high and then do this. So if you really want to be safe against zombies accidentally stacking up for some reason, depending on your base design, that's how high you got to go as a minimum to be safe. Which is pretty crazy. Depending on your base layout, you may not even care, but I thought it's good information to share because people may not be aware of that. All right. How long has this gone? We're about halfway. Oh, I am not going fast at all. But this is cool information. Thanks for sticking around if you made it this far. So, moving on to 26, past a halfway point. Buffs can stack up to 3 times. So if you take any kind of food buff or something, you can keep drinking food and eating water. You can keep eating food and drinking beverages. However, while their hydration and fullness will continue to stack, if they have a specific buff, that should not stack after 3 times. Spike traps don't give XP for 27, unlike literally almost everything else in this game. Anytime you, like, upgrade, destroy, sell, gather, scavenge, Most actions will give you XP, which is cool. You're always being rewarded for what you're doing. However, killing zombies gives 800 to far more per kill, and if a spike gets them, you get nothing. Unlike if you're killing them via, I believe you get some for falls. I'm not 100%. The thing is if my junk turrets kill them, then I believe I still get XP for that. Boop, 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 boop. Let's see. Crafting station, things on fire, using weapons and tools, and opening and closing doors and hatches generates heat, which is an invisible tracker, and opening boxes is an invisible tracker for activity. The more sense of activity and life action in an area is a hidden tracking number value that will spawn in screamers, which will spawn in more zombies, or make zombies aware that you're nearby. Oh my god, it's a bird. We hate those. Die, chicken from hell. Oh my god, there we go. Whee! Alright, so if you're not needing to use those things, then disable it. Or have it be very, very far away. So one of the things, I don't know if it comes up, maybe I'm going to get in my own way, but what you can do is build really, you can build a base going really high, or you can build a base going very low into the ground, and it'll avoid noise detection, generating heat issues, player detection if it's high enough or low enough. I suggest low enough. You just get a 1x1 area. Boop. And you diggy hole, and you just keep going down. And you build a ladder going up, and then if you really want to be smart, you build a 3x3 around this, cover it with dirt, so it looks totally normal, no one would know, and just have a hatch right there in the hole, or something, right next to some trees and bushes, build some fake grass around it. I think I have some grass in this inventory. Yeah, I do. And you could put like a little growth tree next to it, like block the line of sight, make it look more natural, and just have a hatch there. If I didn't mess it up, you'd put the hatch there actually. Anyway, so that's something to be aware of. You could also make it so when the screamers spawn, or you could just build an automatic route the zombies will go to, so you can get them killed. Should you shit where you eat? I've actually skipped one. That is saying, should you build your defense base where your main base is? This is quite reasonable. I say, wherever your main base is, have enough defense against wandering hordes at night, but especially for horde night, any kind of blood moon activity, I wouldn't do it. You can go either way. You can either oh, this is my little corridor I suggested. So you could just build a little corridor. This, again, this is a 5x5, and this will grant you tons of protection. You have a diggy hole so you can mine at night. You have all these boxes, every crafting station necessary, and then you have tons of hatches. And then if you want to go on top, there's a shooting floor as well. You can expand and change that so you can still shoot and not worry about birds, or you can shoot birds. Lots of options available to you. You can also try to avoid crawlers, spider zombies. Lots of options for building without going too over the top. This will carry you, especially because of how I've upgraded this, for a very long time. If zombies think, oh, they can just break one wall, it'll take less time to break, say, this wall than it will be to just go through all these hatches. An easy way to deal with that is you just double down. Double down on all the walls, and then guess what? They are now going to go through the hatches, guarantee. You have to have an insanely long line for them to do otherwise. Let's see. Oh, you could block line of sight very easily. Like, one block will always block line of sight. But sound could travel very far, like 25 to 32 blocks. So, if you do diggy hole and you build a mine underneath your base, you want to build 25 to 32, I call it safe, 35 blocks underground. Just go straight down 35 blocks, and you're going to be good. From there, dig any direction, preferably more down. Why not? Down, dig the bedrock, and then from there, you're guaranteed, and just keep going around. And you're not going to have to worry about zombies really coming after you. Unless it's Blood Moon, obviously. As I mentioned, for 31, dig a D hole for a home cave. That'll allow you to get more stuff done at night. Have a ladder 3 blocks up. A good example of that is right here. Once it's 3 blocks up, I could do this. Yeah! And jump on. However, the zombies will not do that. They can accidentally get on with help of a friend if they stack up, but most times they're not gonna jump on top. So, well, not most times. Without that, they won't jump up top. They won't even know to go over here. So that is a way that only you and other players can get on to your base or get access. Bicycling backwards doesn't hurt you when you have an injured leg or use any stamina. So spin that bitch around, spin that shit around. Paddle, 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 pedal backwards. And you're not going to be hurting yourself. Stop hurting yourself, and you're going to gain distance, gather stamina, all great things. Water should still stop zombie aggro, along with smooth vertical ramps, is number 33. So that's why I have in here, they probably despawned all the Darlings, the Darling Horde, but it should, let me check to see if I know what I'm talking about. They only hit a few blocks, like once to twice. Oh, they hit that one a couple times. But most of the times, I built them a route to get to me, and I was standing right there, and they'll just come over, and these turrets, which the robotic sledges are awesome because they don't use ammo, will just keep knocking them down. And so this is actually way better than it appears. The only weakness is literally cops and demos, in case they actually hit the demo button or make them explode and the cops spit. But there's ways you can build to prevent cops from puking at you, still come this way, and then that'll still work, and then it's just demos that are an issue. But until that point, until you get cops and demos, this is a great setup. And you could do it with less resources. You don't need all this metal and cobblestone. Like, oh, it's great. This is a great base with all the best stuff in the game. No. You don't have to do that. You could do this for much cheaper, and it will perform exactly the same. You just build them a little route to go out and back up and around and in. And they'll just keep falling down, taking damage, and you're fine. And they're not going to worry about zombie aggro. I say zombie aggro, but it's also known as rage. And they'll just basically go into destroy everything mode and just start attacking random blocks. Depending on what you use, it can be far more efficient, actually, just to allow them to do that versus risking your own life in games, especially if you're doing a harder playthrough. And risking the stability of your base can also be a thing to be concerned about. But again, if you build it smart, it's probably not going to be an issue. And if you saw earlier, I spawned in like, I don't even know, like 60 Darlings, easy. So it can stand up to a Horde Knight on a much higher level, especially if you do a bit more work into it. If you equip all armors and mods, level skills, and books along with food buffs to negate or mitigate damage, with a focus on fall damage, and you land on a hay bale or mattress, and you have parkour, etc., all that stuff, you can jump off a small skyscraper and survive. Like, you can jump off 100 plus blocks and not only survive. If it's between 1500, you won't even take damage. And if it's 100 or more, you may not even take a lot of damage. Depending on what you've done out of what I've just listed, you can take little to some or major damage, but it's going to be a challenge to jump off a building if you do all that to kill yourself. Like, yeah, I'm curious, almost wanting to playtest, like, how many hundreds of blocks you have to go. But that, effectively, for most areas of the game, you could jump off, like, any building. Like, you could jump off this town, this building. You could jump off this building, do all those things onto a mattress. I don't even think you're going to take 50 damage. Like, that's how insane it is. That's so crazy, right? Mobility, stamina regen, and noise and armor values are the only things that change with different armors. Outside if they give you extra effects. So, if you're in a Blood Moon event and you're not trying to run around, Does mobility matter? No. If you're using guns, does stamina regen matter? No. They're already coming at you, so does noise matter? No. So at that point, you should either just use armor that gives you extra damage output or rewards, be it XP or loot drops, or armor value. So when they do get it hidden, if you're doing a hybridized build with melee, it's not going to be that much damage. So just go full heavy armor, basically. You can do some S tier combos of different armor setups. That is definitely worth it. And some armors are better to use for, like, the commando is better than the preacher gloves for PvP, because the preacher is just for zombies versus commando is range damage 50%. So depending if you're doing multiplayer, single player, and what you're trying to accomplish, there is better builds that can be optimized, but I'm not going to rant about that because that's going to take too long. So for Blood Moon and most exploring, honestly, just use a lot of heavy armor. It's the better way to go. If you're not using a vehicle to get around after the first week, you're kind of screwing up. You're shooting yourself in the leg and all the mobility. If you want to not do that, you hate technology, you're an Amish making a difference in the end times, then, you know, do whatever you want. I'm just saying you shouldn't have to worry about most of this stuff. It's worth it just to do the extra armor. Yes, you can use armor mods on medium to and below armor to buff them up, but I don't think it's as worth it versus getting the extra mitigation from the higher heavy armor. But again, do what you want. 36, the new armors, as I said, do make a difference depending on your situation and play style. I've kind of already combined that with 35, so that's kind of good to go. I use torches usually on doorways to buildings, the main axis, or even if there's a back axis. But for the most part, I just do the main axis because I know then to look for the main axis if it's like I've got a bad feeling about this. Have I been here before? Is my Alzheimer's kicking in? Am I becoming Sleepy Kevin? I just do a torch in the front of the building, and it's like, hey, I've been here. Good to know. So if I don't use a quest to reset a POI, it's already been cleared. There's no reason for me to go in. On that note, I prefer using settings where nothing respawns because it gives me more immersion and requirement to leave an area. Otherwise, I never have to leave. Because if you never have to leave and you're just going to get everything you want in that area, why not just have the mode to spawn in everything? Like, there's no real difference. I think this is a more of an immersive experience. Teach their own, but this lets me know, hey, been here, skip it. 38, harvest multipliers work on things like supercorn. If I type in, not you, the penetrator, where is it? Living off the land, I believe. Yeah, double the harvest of wild or planted crops. That's good to get early. You could say, oh, you know, there's more things that are important to get early. I agree. However, when it does come time for you to basically just get supercorn, that's the main thing. Or you're going to go into the corn field, that, I think it's worth it to get that because, you know, it's going to pay for itself. 100% it pays for itself, especially if you're getting it in before level 20. Like, if you're that scared about not surviving, you've got other survivability skill issues. Just get this. It's going to save you time and sanity, which should be of more value to you. And then you don't have to put more points into it. Just get the one, and that will help. If you're smart and you're also cheap, you can use pitfalls, as I've shown with my water, or just other pitfalls to do damage to zombies. With the pitfalls, I don't remember if I bring it up or not. I do. Distance can matter. Let's see. Number 40. There are mods to improve backpack amount and armor as well. So before spending points into certain builds, heavy armor, medium armor, or extra inventory slots, you can just wait a bit, suffer, and it's only going to be a couple days to a week, and you're going to eventually unlock that stuff. It's going to make it easier to carry more items, thus you can use those skill points, because it does require more and more XP to level up. You're going to take longer to get less rewards to then use those skill points in other things to help you with your experience, instead of, at that point, basically wasting them on those fields that could be changed with mods, because it's not a significant enough difference versus not having some extra skills. At least in mine and most other players I've found regards. They usually agree likewise. Falling blocks do damage. If you have a big building or an overhang and enough stuff gets broken, like if I broke if I do a 9/11, if I break the bottom level of a building, the top part building falls down. Guess what? That's gonna do a lot of damage to anything underneath it, players or zombies. It can kill them, but it's not guaranteed. But more so for zombies, because they can have insane health, late game, radiated, bulky, etc. For you, you're probably screwed. It's a fun trap you can do against players. 42. Scaffolding ladder and four-way blocks are the best blocks to use for blocking cop spit and still allow combat for throwable, shooting, and melee. The four-way block is kind of the best. It takes more blocks to make it happen, I believe. And if you do some building up and building down in the vicinity, it can cause problems though. So I still like the scaffolding block. The only difference is that the four-way does make it much easier to get throwables through, and melee, it's a bit harder with scaffolding block, especially with throwables. So there's that. But if you really want to do throwables, there's other options if you're smart. It's just if you're looking straight at cops, because they'll spit. 43, use wood blocks for quick defense and to climb buildings for easy loot. So let's say, oh, jeepers. Oh, jeez. Here's a good example. Say I'm being chased by some zombies, or I want to get to the top of the working stiffs superstore to see if there's some stuff near it. I can just put this one block down and then jump, place, jump, place, jump, place, jump, place, jump, place, jump, place, jump, place. Ta-da! I'm up here. Mission accomplished. Or this is with the wood blocks. If you use it with building block, not the wooden blocks, building block, these ones is what I should have shown you. Can be upgraded, placed in emergency. Say if like I'm in a certain area and they're trying to break through the door, I can build that real quick, upgrade it to give me extra protection and time, and I can then also pick it back up. It's the only block you can pick back up for building. The rest you usually can't. So that helps you as well. Save on the resources. It takes less resources. Can let you go up and down places really quick. Get I can come up here. I can like break. I can go to an area instead of going in and around the building, going up and then falling back down another area. If there's special loot, say in here, which there is, guess what? I have now skipped this entire, was this a 4.5-star skull POI or something, and just gone straight to the loot. It can save you tons of time. And then furthermore, if going in here is gonna aggro all the zombies, guess what? I come up here, aggro the zombies, I F off the roof, they follow me somehow, and then I block the way, go back up with the same trick. You can even like do some of this. So if they break bottom block, if I wasn't attached to the building, this way it still stays attached and I can keep climbing up. I can alternate. Bunch of cool things you can do. So use those in your life. Carry 50 of them at all times. You'll thank me for it. It's always worth having a stack of those. You can still make sky bases, but are no longer able to build along the trader wall. There's a 1.0 current multiplayer vehicle dupe exploit, which is when you join the game not as host, someone else's game. If you have it selected in your bar as the first item to place a vehicle / drop a vehicle, if you do it fast enough, you can spawn in extra versions of the vehicle. And so you can just keep doing that. The laggier the connection, the better. But then you can take the vehicle, sell it for parts, or the whole vehicle, give it to friends. That's a quick way to get extra vehicles. Okay. Enough is enough, nature. Stop it. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Okay. God bless America. Let's see. 45. Getting a robotic drone is pretty massive, because if you can give it mods that provide healing, it get extra storage, it can warn for zombies, extra stamina depending on the mod choice. So it's a huge player spike for survivability and loot gathering as soon as you get the robotic drone. So it's highly recommended. You can also try to improve its survivability, but if you're smart, it's not going to be necessary. It can cause problems when you're trying to build up and below you and some other stuff, because it can get in your way. So it can cause a big fuss if you're in a high-stress instant moment. But if you're smart ahead of time and you have good weapons at this point in the game, mid-game, it shouldn't be an issue. Jumping with water and electricity is some of the best, and crawling is some of the best ways to stagger zombies. Electricity gets degraded over time, and water can be hard to set up in a vast amounts. So, along with swimming, and crawling doesn't stagger as much as jumping. So if you just build a, where did I have it? Na. I am Batman. If you just build one of these, but it's going in a straight row, it's not going up, it's just building a row, and it's like just alternating. Whoop. Like that, but you make it so they can't go along the sides, they have to go up and down. That's gonna just, they shouldn't have an issue with horde mode, and that's just gonna slow them down. You don't need all these fancy hatches and shit. Honestly, just have a trench of this. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And as long as you have a ranged weapon, it's gonna take them days to get to you. Good lord. Or you could even just jump back and forth with a melee weapon. Not back and forth, but hit them, jump back one. Hit them, jump back one. And just keep doing that. You're gonna be fine. It's really cheap, easy and quick to do, and gosh darn, it's gonna slow them down. You can make a crawl tunnel for zombies for easier headshots. I was mentioning the crawl as well. You just basically get a tunnel as well, but you make it with slightly descending blocks. Eventually getting to the point of like a 1.5 blocks. So you get slow ramps going down, and they will then go enter into from a standing position after moving into a fast crawling horizontal position. And that will allow better headshots, and that can give you more control as well. One of the best ways to stagger zombies, again, is underwater swimming with electricity. It's so slow. It's so slow. They go so slow. But that's more late game if you're trying to do that kind of unique base. Zombies, I mentioned this earlier, 48, can't break bedrock. So it's really great. This wasn't in order. It's just stuff that came to my mind. You can just have this 5x7 all the way down at the bottom of the map, and then just expand around. It can get annoying at transporting resources. You basically park your bike above your main thoroughfare area or vehicle, but it's not going to be that different from other bases once they get to endgame. And if you're trying to hide from players, that is like the best, except for like a super high insane sky base. But this is kind of as they intended versus, you know, using blocks that can't be destroyed by zombies. Like that's, the zombies can still get to you this way. They can't get to you up there. That's obviously a bit extra. I think everyone can admit that. You can make an argument for both, but like at what point are you going to continue to White Knight? Like that's a bit extra. I've done a sky base once just to see if I could. It's cool, but you know, what's the difference from that and just having God mode? I think having the Horde Knights are fun. It's one of the best things outside of exploring in the game. Because if you're not being challenged, then where's the joy factor for a lot of people at least? 49 water pitfalls, like I've shown previously, need to be 1, 2, 3, 3 blocks high at least. If it's 2 blocks high, then they're going to have collision on the ground and more likely enter rage. This lessens it, and they enter the swimming state, and they're not going to necessarily have as much collision with another zombie that's below them if they fall into another one. And also prevents you from taking damage if you fall in. So 3 blocks high or more is what's recommended. And zombie fall damage starts as they're falling, not when they actually land, which is pretty interesting. And it starts at 12 blocks high. This is number 50, by the way. Congratulations. 20 blocks high, they take about 20 damage, and 32 blocks high is the base cap against the weakest base zombies that can spawn in, like regular Darlenes and stuff, for 41 damage, because it maxes out at 1/3 their health. As you do more in the game, higher game stage, they'll get more health. But when it comes to demo zombies and radiated zombies, cops, and thick zombies, etc., at that point, you want to go closer to 50 to 100 blocks to get a higher percentage, but it's not going to matter for the lower, weaker zombies. So for early game, 20 blocks high, and then they do what, 5 loops, and they're basically dead. 5 to 6 loops, and they'll basically kill themselves from just falling. And that's without you taking into account your turrets doing damage and you doing damage. I'm just going to hype these guys up again. They don't use electricity. They're going to be fine. You don't need to mess with them at all. I love the sledge turrets more than the shooty turrets because they cost no resources once you have them. They don't shoot anything. They just hang out, and especially for pitfalls or just anything to knock zombies over. And especially if you have a large, chunky base, because again, 5x5, so it's 7x7 or more, they have so much they have to chunk through to even cause you issues with stability. If things, let's say you have a box and the stability breaks for the box under it for that box, and the box gets destroyed, all the items in the box go away. So if they do break stuff with your base, aka shit where you eat, that's bad. You lose everything that's in there. So, you know, big caution. But that's why if I just build this base as my horde base and I have another base nearby with all my actual stuff, then that's fine. Come in here for horde. If it's every other day / night, hang out in here and you're good to go. If you want to be lazy, even though you don't get XP, I will put spike traps around. So that way if a screamer just randomly shows up, they can't just cause me annoyances. They have to go through my little chamber of death. They can't just beat on random walls, summon more zombies randomly to beat on walls. And that is my top 50. I was hoping to go under 50 minutes. I have failed. I apologize. I've done some ranting here. I hope most of the information is good information you may not have realized. It'll give you fun times with yourself and your friends who play this game. I think it's a fun game. I even like, this is heretical, the older bad versions on console that are like really old because of the legal issue disputes with another company, so they couldn't update it, and they basically abandoned the old version on the older consoles. They're only updating on newer consoles. That's also for some graphical runtime availability reasons. And so I think both versions are fun. I think this is a fun game to play by yourself or with other people. I mentioned PvP several times. I like the idea of hunting or being hunted by other players, some in-house rules and stuff. I think that's cool as fuck and super fun. That's the best way to play. Because if you're just going around raiding people's bases or attacking people, it's kind of like whoever shoots first is really going to be the one that wins. If you get surprised or hit hard, similar to Rust, like you're going to probably die. Especially if they have a PvP build and you have an anti-zombie build, like you're fucked. And so I don't like that as much as like setting up different trading camps with different players to trade resources that get scarce, or you know, doing some other mechanics. I think that's a much better way to play subjectively, personally. Actually, let's kind of curious. Let's set time. Let's see how many zombos I can get to come in here. They should spawn the horde. Let's find out. Yep. Continue to protect me, turrets. At this point, I'm just going to rant about some stuff, and I'll make time markers so people don't have to deal with this if they don't want to, and I'll have descriptions. Oh, I forgot about the cups. No. I still love how simple this is. Whee! See, and then they just fall in, and they just climb the ladder I built for them, and they just fucking leave. And they go back in the loop. Some issues with this is, this is a good example. That guy got pushed right here. They almost always will fix themselves, but I have to build a door just to prevent zombies from going any further, because they can kind of stay in the same spot as the turrets, and that will indeed cause issues. Another reason for not shitting where you eat is because if I did have stuff in here, guess what? That's an AoE. If a cop explodes, spits, or a demo explodes up here, it could damage all your stuff, and again, you can lose everything. That is a big concern. Stuff that blocked cop spit besides those bars is glass. Blocks line of sight, I believe, but you can obviously still see them. You just can't shoot. But they will still have the same pathing. They won't think they can't get to you, so they'll still path the same. something you can do to also prevent issues with rage mode, likewise, is give them additional, because they're struggling because there's so many they're falling in. They're struggling because I've set to 64. Getting out. They don't want to wait in the Starbucks line. They're like, this is bullshit. I know where the coffee is. I'm gonna go get it. Don't do this, but I think it's funny when there's videos people like walk behind the counter and just like grab their meal that's ready that no one's grabbing, or they just get the thing that they want. The other person's like too slow to grab. Like, they just don't have the patience. I think it's the funniest thing ever. Like, chicken sandwich. Sir, you can't be back here. Chicken sandwich. I just think that's super funny. So you can build extra routes for them to go in and out to prevent this issue. Instead of this single entryway, you can build 3 that opens up right before this block, and then they all like go over and try to get here. Because it's just getting in and out fast. Once they're in, it's fine. They'll gladly wait in a queue as long as they're able to keep moving. This is just, yeah, this is a big issue right here. So I could expand that, but yeah, except for the cop spit again. If I built those bars, that'd be safe from the cop spit, and I could just hang out, and I'd basically just be low-key invincible. It's just the demos and explosions that cause me any kind of issue. Get out of here. They can also crawl over these hatches, or dogs can jump. So be aware, if you have an extra jump area, they'll definitely more easily go through. But they can be knocked over or crippled into and over. Again, an extra example right there. So be mindful of that. But if I have a spear, I can just AFK, keep stabbing, or I can just be a bit further away. There's a lot of situations and ways you can deal with this. Yeah, a lot of them are entering rage mode because they just don't know where to go. Unfortunate, because it's just, there's too many blocking the exit. It's taking too long to get out. But yeah, that's a way you can improve upon this base, and it'll be a bit more AFK. It is 1/6 of the time over, and if I built this, if I solved this one issue, again, I'd have no issue getting out, or thinking they can't get out, and wouldn't have rage mode. But I think I can almost just let them keep going. I'm not going to do the whole time, but until 4 AM, and I don't think they're going to bring down the base. So if I just change this, I'd be pure AFK. There's not any irradiated. The game stage is not high enough because my level is not high enough. But yeah, some people build mega bases with a lot of drop points. Some don't like rage mode at all. Like the other base I built right over here, they should never have rage mode unless, again, there's too many zombies getting in here. But this is not what you want to deal with, because this is where all my stuff is. But again, you could build a 3x3 area, and if it's 3x3 open, aka 3x3 interior, 5x5 exterior, they shouldn't enter rage mode because there shouldn't be any kind of issue with stacking. You can use other traps for darts, blades, electricity. I think they're cool, but you have to recharge them, fix them, etc. And I'd rather explore. I personally have more fun with that. Let's see. Anything else? Oh no, my water is leaking. Also for water areas, you usually want to build a 2x2 around them. Otherwise, they will have issues where they will leak out, depending on the material used. No, my Wawa, it's leaving me. If you're having trouble having water fill an area because it keeps like leaving for some reason, this is so weird. It's just like, it's like, nope, I'll stop moving right here. Try throwing water in different locations in a basin / pool tub, and that will sometimes fix it. Otherwise, it'll sometimes bug out and not have the water you threw actually go inside. Let's see. If you have any comments for me, criticism, constructive feedback, you just want to say hi, love my content, hate my content, love me, hate me, feel free to put it down below. If it is negative and not constructive, I'll probably delete it. I will eventually do some more gaming content. I've been still struggling to get a job. I'm on unemployment right now. I spent too much time gaming. I'm just kind of suffering ego death as my career experience is not really helping me as much as I would like, and it's really upsetting. Um, I'm doing less Warhammer because I don't like 10th edition really. There's stuff I do like about it, but overall I think, oh, ninth has too much rules bloat. Guess what? I learned like every faction's rules. It's fine. Get over it. Um, and give them more depth. A lot of factions have lost a ton of depth. They're not nearly as interesting as they were in ninth. And a lot of them are neutered. Some were OP. Like the top 3 factions of Guardsmen, Iron Hands, and Thousand Suns were a bit broken. I've never heard a Thousand Suns player admit they've ever been strong, or when as soon as they get strong, they get nerfed again. A lot of people who main a faction will say that. It's like, oh, but the first time we're strong, we're nerfed again. They'll never like accept where they're strong, or there's always excuses. Is my point. But yeah, they were good in ninth, and at the end of ninth, they were great. And yeah, they're not nearly as strong as they used to be. Every faction that's aka strong in 10th was like, most of them were usually way stronger in 9th. The only major exception was Knights. Let's see. Heatwave going out. I hope everyone's staying cool. I'm exploring some more content and playing some other games as well. When 7 Days to Die comes out as official launch, I'll probably do some more streaming actually. Record content for that. I tried to do Arc, but a server kept crashing with me and my buddy, which was very unfortunate. Killed the vibe for us, and I was doing the majority of the work there anyway, so it was mostly just me. I've been playing more Rogue Trader, making more progress on there, having fun, enjoying the story. Eventually I'll go through redo Baldur's Gate as well for hardcore for the dice unlock, golden dice unlock. Part of me has even been thinking about running a D&D game. But I really rather wait till 1 D&D comes out. Even though a lot of what I'm seeing I think is bad. Most of what I'm seeing from 1 D&D is nerfs. And so I like the fact that like, oh, you know, if you don't want to use it, don't. I'm like, good, because I'm not gonna. I want to keep everything else for the most part. I think they really did Druids dirty. I think that's the worst thing that got done dirty is Druids. Hey, you know what? Get out of here. Stop that. There. Solve that issue. Something that's also nice about this, if you do make a pitfall, is I wonder where all the bags are. Oh, they're right here. So as soon as Horde Night is over, you just get all the bags. All the bags, they're right here. Nice, easy pickup. It's probably enough of the loud zombie noises. I don't know how bad they maybe messed with the recording. It's detecting the turrets hitting them still. That's funny. Yeah, I hope everyone's surviving this heat wave. Summertime, yeah. I don't think there's a lot of interesting content that's come out recently. I am enjoying the new Hell of a Boss episodes. The Boys just finished their season. It's way different from the comics. I'm enjoying it. I think it's better. Maybe hot take. I think it's better than the comics, actually. There's a lot of content that's cut from the Boys comics, but I think the show is better. We'll see how the finale ends for the final season coming after this season. I'm psyched to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think there's a lot of other animes that are coming out. I'm looking forward to Overlord, ReZero. After the season of ReZero, I think the next couple seasons are bad. The other books are bad after that. Or barely bad. They're kind of decent. There's one cool character called Todd in my mind. But most of them just don't strike my fancy. The Overlord movie, I'm looking forward to it. It should be pretty dark in some scenes. I don't know how much they're going to show. But it's unfortunate that the author isn't doing much after this point. He's only doing 2 more light novels and calling it because you got Disillusioned, Sick a lot. A lot of them just enter hiatuses and are depressed and they just don't write. There's reasons for that, but I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, I think for the next 6 months, there's not going to be a ton of cool media. There's going to be a couple things and some cool games like Keymaker and other stuff that's going to come out, but there won't be as much coming out. So it's a good time for people to explore other hobbies, get outside, focus more on work careers, I'm gonna try to do that as well. Oh, I see my base actually falling apart. Oh no, this is falling apart. Some zombies hit this, so that's a good example of how stuff will fall and break. Even though they're horde mode attacking things, I'm still hanging out. Oh, well, no, they broke in there. Get back, heretic. Be gone with you. The turrets are still kind of protecting me, which is pretty funny. Try to block them like that. Just quickly put that down. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say. I wish I was putting out more content. I've just been busy lately, sick, depressed. Everything else, as I was just saying, other people don't do content. It's kind of like a content death right now because I think economic struggles in America, which I still understand we're first world doing better than other countries, but for the low-end citizen having poverty, there is, and even middle class is not as much middle class anymore because of cost expenses for living. If you want to whine, bitch, complain, compliment, type it down below. Again, I always love seeing feedback. I'll reply to every comment as quick as I can. And if you have any specific requests for content for any games, series, talking about any subject matter, I'll list it as well. I don't know when I'll do more poetry or song covers when I feel like it. But this has been like over an hour of me talking, so I bid you good day. Take care, all you gamers out there. Game on. Later.